This is your orientation podcast for Tom Higgins, Illinois Central College, Law and Justice courses, Criminal Justice, Law Enforcement, Legal Studies, 911. And this is specifically for 8-week courses, typically but not always summer for me. So if you're taking an 8-week course with me, this orientation is specifically for an 8-week course. A few things about 8-week courses. We have a growing number of 8-week courses, and because the course is in 8 weeks, you need to realize one simple thing. If you've taken a full semester, fall or spring course over 16 weeks, an 8-week course is simply all the work you would have put in during a 16-week semester in a shorter period of time. In other words, it's twice the reading, twice the assignment, twice the work, twice the time that you experienced in a 16-week course. We still need to present the same amount of material we would over a 16-week fall or spring semester, but we are compressing that into 8 weeks, which means you are going to find time, additional time, to get that work done. Normally, for a 3-hour course, and my courses are 3 ECH 3-hour courses, the expectation is that you could expect to spend 3 to 6 hours in a 16-week semester. So you need to find 6 to 12 hours for this 8-week course. Now, how that typically breaks down, and one way that you can sort of get your mind around it, is that in a traditional course, you would be in the classroom 3 hours a week in a 16-week semester, 6 hours a week in an 8-week term, and you would most likely, on the average college course, have 3 hours a week in a 16-week course and 6 hours a week of outside class work. That can be reading, that can be, in my case, or the case of my courses, listening to these podcasts and reading. It can be working on assignments, which you will do in my courses. It will be demonstrating that you are learning the knowledge and skills the course offers. Now, in an online class, we aren't sitting in a classroom for 3 hours or 6 hours in an 8-week session. The convenience factor of that means that you aren't sitting in a room having to listen to somebody lecture. In the online class, though, you still need to find that same amount of time. There is still that same amount of work because, at least in my classes, when you came to class, I expected that you did read, prepare, be available to discuss, be a participant in your own education. I earned my degrees. I earned my knowledge and skill in law and justice. And it served me well. And I'm here to make sure that you learn it as well so it can serve you for a long and prosperous career. But that's going to take time and effort. Now, will you need in this 8-week course 12 hours a week every week? You may not. If you do the things that I ask you to do, if you read the things I ask you to read, if you listen to these podcasts, and there's a podcast each week of the course, if you find and make time to complete the assignments, if you use your calendar to make sure you do all of those things I just listed, and you're consistent in the time that you put in to do those things, and then if you come back to read the post of your fellow students, the cases that they present as an example, and have a good discussion, it may not be anything close to 12 hours. It'll be somewhere in that range, 6 to 12. And if you're really efficient, if you're really consistent about using your calendar and making time to do all of those things, my guess is it's going to be closer to 6. So know that first off. You can expect, as I said, podcasts very similar to this orientation for most weeks in any of my courses. And I'll give you your first hint to success in these courses. Listen to the podcast. You can listen to these files in your car, at the gym, before you go to sleep at night, while you sleep, whenever, wherever. You should at some point listen with a pen and paper or a computer and take some notes. What I try to do, compared to the good old-fashioned stand up in front of you in a classroom full of 25, 30 students and lecture, what I try to do is, assuming you've done the reading that I asked you to do and you've got a little prep in on the basic knowledge of the things we're going to discuss in a given week of the course, what I try to do is make it very concise. Give you the things you really absolutely need to know. And then you can listen to those things, take some notes, and it helps you in your journey to become competent in the knowledge and skill of whatever the topic of the course may be. So assuming you have the ability to listen, take notes, and you're ready to do that for this orientation, because there is an assignment and something you have to do after listening to this orientation, here we go. First, many of you know me, but for those who do not, I'm a first-generation college grad who began my post-high school education here at Illinois Central College. I was a student who bounced around to various majors until I found my niche. I was a member of the men's basketball team. Eventually, I ended up in law enforcement classes. I worked as a public safety cadet. Department of Public Safety was what we now call the campus police. I graduated a long, long time ago with a degree in law enforcement. I graduated after that from Bradley University with a degree in the administration of criminal justice. While attending Bradley, I turned 21 and ICC hired me back as a public safety officer. After graduating from Bradley, I continued on the law enforcement path, moving to the Chicago area, where I went to what was then called the John Marshall Law School, now known as the University of Illinois College of Law. University of Illinois Chicago, I should say, Campus College of Law. I practiced law for a little while in Peoria. Once I returned to Peoria, I was a partner in a law firm when I left to come back to ICC to teach full-time. I did a lot of litigation. At the end, a lot of litigation for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois all throughout the state, and for a couple trucking litigation companies. And I represented some local companies and the two largest local police units. I'm also a graduate of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign's Master of Online Teaching program, one of the first graduates of that program, and one of the first people to teach online, really in the country, but also in Illinois. I also taught in that program for a while, helping other people learn what online education was about to become, I guess. I've taught courses in the for the Central Illinois Police Training Center, the MTU, the Mobile Training Unit for local law enforcement. And as I said, I've been a full-time member of the Illinois Central College faculty since 1996. You can contact me anytime for questions and support regarding programs or career fields or my courses. Typically, I'll respond to those inquiries during normal Monday through Friday business hours. But, emergencies, I may get back to you sooner. I provide my phone number so you can text, call, or expect to get a call from me on something other than my office phone, which quite frankly hasn't been very reliable and I haven't used for a long time. Since COVID, especially, I've just let you get a hold of me through email or my cell. And that information is on the syllabus for the course. For a little program history, the initial program here in this area was police science and then law enforcement. Police science became law enforcement. It originated in 1969, 2 years after the college opened, through my mentor, Roy, and Roy went by the nickname of Doc Wright. Doc was a police officer who became a lawyer. Years later, after I had been here, we developed the criminal justice program. That was in the mid 90s. And that followed a national trend for bachelor's degrees in what people tag as criminal justice. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the criminal part of that because I think what we really should focus on is justice. And when we say criminal, we have a tendency, and a growing tendency in society, to post pictures of folks who have been arrested and put those out in public. And just because you're arrested doesn't mean that you are, in fact, a criminal. You're innocent until proven guilty. I think what we do in all facets of law and justice, is to seek the truth, to seek justice. And when we added that connotation there, it was more or less because criminologists were driving that push or the field. Criminologists are sociology trained people who focus on the causes of crime. Most of what we do and most of what you will do as a practitioner in law and justice is to deal with the actual circumstances. And it's great that we study the causes. A lot of times at this stage, we know the causes, and where we get hung up is in not focusing on finding true justice. The legal studies program came about in 1989, so it's been around a long, long time. It's been around in a couple different formats. It's currently a post-degree certificate. A lot of students who start out in the criminal justice transfer degree at some point determine that some of the criminal justice fields aren't as appealing to them as law, and they add that legal studies certificate to their criminal justice degree so they can go on and transfer, and they found some pretty decent jobs working in legal services. And then many have gone on to law school with that legal studies background and that certificate. They know how to do legal research and write and all the stuff that helps them become successful in law school and then passing the bar and becoming a lawyer. And then finally, we have the 911 program, which is the most recent of our programs and supports our local emergency services, police, fire, ambulance, and we have many grads. Probably those centers are, at this point, primarily our grads working out there in 911. I refer to our current programs as both law and justice and public service programs because that's what we prepare you to do, serve the public in law and justice. These programs are among the primary sources for law and justice employers, public and private, throughout central Illinois, and we have graduates all over the country. There's no doubt that you know or you've dealt with one of our graduates, and if you have not, you will, hopefully, as an employee. If you're not familiar with the ICC Law webpage, it's linked to your Canvas course site. Bookmark it, save it, come back to that website because it's key to figuring out your program advisement, enrollment information, jobs that are out there, program-specific links, opportunities for extra credit or whatever. Sometimes we have training opportunities. For instance, some of our students participated in one a few weeks ago where they were essentially playing several different roles and helping local police departments in emergency response type training. If you want, pause the podcast and go to the site and look at the jobs posted, check out some of the resources. But otherwise, let's talk a little bit about tips that help you be successful in our programs and courses, things that actually translate to success in your future law and justice career or any course, really. From the moment you walk into our doors, the moment you enroll in this course, all the other courses, we have one goal: to help you develop and know how to constantly improve your skills to become competent, confident, and employable serving in the law. This is a lifelong learner career. Improving and practicing your knowledge and skills in the law is something you will need to do for your entire career. Fact of the matter is that you'll be expected to grow continually, to work to acquire and develop knowledge and skills, new knowledge and skills, to sharpen your current knowledge and skills. It's a lifelong thing. So to that end, here's 3 of the most important expectations for successful students in our program and expectations that we promise will lead to your success in the career. First, what I call professionalism. Most of the jobs that you may hope to earn after your degree or certificate require that you take and uphold an oath and abide by and follow the Constitution and laws of the United States and the state of Illinois. And it's not an if, it's a must. Those oaths say that I will or I shall. It's a must. It's not a oops, sorry, it's an oops. You're going to get fired if you violate those oaths. If you mess with your certifications or you violate the expectations for your boss if you're working for a lawyer or somebody who is licensed to do those things. I'm sure you've seen examples of people in law enforcement and the law and justice system who get in trouble. They get embarrassed. Perhaps they get convicted of a crime. Some get sent to jail themselves because they violated that oath. Their violation was a commission of a crime. If this is your career path, if you want to take this path, Start adopting professional expectations today. So that's pretty simple. What I'm talking about is abide by the law. Work to avoid breaking the law. Be honest. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. The very basic ones. Don't harm other people. Treat other people how you'd like to be treated. Don't do the things you may be expected to arrest or cite somebody for doing if you're fortunate enough to land a position in your desired career field. Now, sometimes this is as simple as checking the speed limit, making sure you're wearing your seatbelt, not throwing crap out your window, the litter. Sometimes it can be difficult. It may mean that you don't hang out with certain people who may be doing things that break the law. When I was you, I decided this was my career path. And in particular, when I decided that law enforcement was going to be the first stop in my career, I had to make a hard choice. I had to stop hanging out with some people. It wasn't personal, and they didn't take it personal. We went different directions. But sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes it means you lose points in a class because you forgot to do work on time and you don't make excuses or expect to pass. Sometimes it means you have consequences that may not be pleasant. But if you develop these traits and make these expectations for yourself now to be professional, to raise your expectations of yourself, you do it now in this course, in this program, while you're here at Illinois Central College, and you carry those expectations forward, it'll serve you when you get the job. It'll serve you with a successful career. So make the commitment to work within these very simple expectations and standards. The time to begin learning and adapting to living and working with character and professionalism is now. It's what you're going to be expected to do if you work in law and justice. And experience has shown that if students work diligently to abide by the professional responsibility and character expectations of their chosen career field, they're going to end up in a better job with more satisfying careers. You will succeed in the law if you accept, adapt to, and practice the expectations of professionalism now. The next one, organization. Most public service jobs are document and information intensive. Organizing and communicating this information requires planning and significant time and effort. And that's not more true than in an 8-week course, whereas we talked about you're doing twice the work in half the time. You're still doing the full semester in 8 weeks. So, successful students, successful graduates have set aside time to plan their assigned work tasks in order to make their workflow smoother and more efficient. They started doing that today, now in class, because they'll need to do that in the workplace. And I'll tell you, the people who choose not to do this consistently now, well, what happens to them? They end up either washing out and never having a career or not much of one, or they have to work really hard to do those things on the job. Accept it now. Those people organize their work into detailed to-do lists. By to-do list, I mean, what do I need to do this today? What's due today? What's due tomorrow? What's due next week? I have a vision on where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there. And I update that vision. I update what I need to know. Every single day, I look at my calendar. Beginning of the week, I look at what do I absolutely have to do this week? What do I have coming up next week? What do I have coming up 3 weeks from now? And then I update those things that I need to do, those tasks that I have to get done. The successful person updates those lists daily and they stay on top of tasks to meet all deadlines. They do not miss deadlines and they do not need to make apologies or excuses. You'll quickly learn apologies and excuses won't take you anywhere in law and justice careers. So start working on consistently being organized and meeting those deadlines. Finding, making, putting in the time to do the job you're supposed to do. Nobody gets extra credit for work that's not done. In the workplace, extra credit means you get extra money for being assigned extra work. You get the opportunity to make extra money for extra work, meaning you did the work you were supposed to do, and you did it in such a way that the boss wants to have you do more work. Extra credit is not an extra opportunity to do stuff you should have done but did not. So don't come asking me for extra credit. That's not how the world works, and that's not what I want you to think when you leave here. Now, you're going to be encouraged to develop your own systems and methods for staying organized, but most of you already have a really good idea about what those should be. And you'll be given some tried and true methods, and I'll suggest things here and there. You be wise to begin this week, today, this assignment, the week one assignment, because there's a week one assignment. Section 1 of the course, there's an assignment in addition to the orientation assignment, so don't miss that. But experience has shown that students who use their calendars, they create to-do lists, they update those lists, they review their calendars daily, they plan their time, and they're able to meet all the various class assignments on time. They have an easier and more successful transition to these very same expectations in law and justice careers. These careers are based on deadlines, and there's no exception to those deadlines. Oftentimes, those deadlines include something court imposed, some statute of limitations imposed, something that is an absolute, and you don't get to make an excuse. There aren't exceptions. So get in that practice now, and you won't regret it. And one of the unique aspects of our public service or law and justice career fields is that you constantly juggle many tasks at once. Law enforcement is an example. You're often informed of your next potential case, your next call, before you're cleared from the current one. You're just now figuring out what the heck's going on at the scene you're at, and you're already being told that there's another call waiting for you. If you work in a law office, you may represent many clients with many diverse and different legal matters. And while you may plan to sit down and complete a particular task over a few hours, you're more likely to be interrupted by a telephone call from a client, a request from one of your supervising lawyers, or some task that requires an immediate attention. And your plan to focus on that one job may be put off for minutes, hours, sometimes days. If you're a probation officer, you may be sitting in your office trying to prepare to testify in a pre-sentence hearing when you get a call that one of your probationers has just been arrested for another crime. Rarely, if ever, do you find the time to focus and complete one task before being pulled away for another task. Now, for these class assignments, you shouldn't have that issue if you plan your time. But if you do get pulled away and you're organized, you can go right back to whatever it was you're doing. If you take good notes, if you keep things organized, if you keep track of what you do need to do and what you've already done, you'll have a better time at picking those things back up. So for that reason, the ability to be flexible and multitask is a must-have skill for anyone in a public service career. It makes organizing and prioritizing your assigned task absolutely vital. You'll have multiple assignments from various classes. You're going to have multiple assignments from various people, whether that's the dispatcher, your boss, the courts. The expectations are that you complete those assignments to the best of your ability, on time with no excuses. That's the expectation here in this class. That's the expectation in the real world. So use your calendar. Create updated to-do list. Make the time to do the work. When we say make the time to do the work, we mean make sufficient time to do the work to the best of your ability. No last-minute, half-hearted efforts. Don't remember an hour before the assignment's due that you're supposed to be doing this assignment and then try to act like you read what you're supposed to read, listened to what you're supposed to listen to, and gave that assignment your best effort and ability. You didn't. Don't come home from the bars at 1 in the morning and think, I got homework due tomorrow, but I got another class and I'm going to log in now and do it. Don't. Treat it like it's your job, like it's your career, because it is. Your career will be a success or a failure based on your ability to use a calendar to plan, to consistently put in the work you must put in, so you do your best work to meet every deadline, every time. And don't kid yourself, because I have students tell me this. You can't treat this opportunity to learn and build your skill sets here like some high school assignment and then snap. You all of a sudden have the discipline and skill to meet these expectations on the job. I will tell you, fact. Those of us who were students when I was a student who did exactly what I'm urging you to do found success. And those who did not were not able to snap their fingers and all of a sudden be disciplined and skilled enough to meet the expectations of the job. They either didn't get the job or they didn't go very far in the job. Don't be foolish enough to think you can avoid doing these things here and avoid the time and effort to do your best, thinking you'll somehow change your approach and do your best once you're able to make a paycheck. It won't happen. Experience has shown that students who prioritize and plan their class assignments, they multitask, they plan their time so that they can complete all expected tasks and assignments on time to the best of their abilities. These students have little trouble adapting to the expectations of the career, and they're successful in class as well. Let's talk about communication. So, this is a career that requires you to communicate. It requires you to communicate in writing. It requires you to communicate eye to eye, face to face. with people. You have to talk to clients. You have to interview victims, witnesses. You have to work with other people in law and justice, court personnel, judges. You're expected to have strong people skills and communicate verbally, in person, and by telephone. Not long ago, one of our former students who's supervising younger police officers was complaining that he had assigned a young officer to go out and take a statement, a follow-up statement from a witness. And the doofus texted the individual. He didn't go out and listen to, take the testimony, potential follow-up testimony, the information that the supervisor was asking him to get from that witness. You have to be able to look at people. Practice active listening, which some of you will get more details on in other classes with me. It's a requirement. Communication is a requirement. And then you have to remember, you have to be able to recall what people said. And for most of you, that means you're going to write down, make reports. AI may work itself into report writing. There's a great push to have it do so. Take what comes off of a body cam and generate a report for you. Well, let me tell you something. As of right now, and as far as hopefully the rest of my life, and yours as well, it's not going to be able to sit on the witness stand and testify about what you saw. So it may help you, just like certain AI tools can hopefully help you become a better writer in anything. But it can't do the work for you. You have to go then and make sure that whatever it says is accurate. Make sure it's lawful. And then know that you're going to sit on the witness stand. Those are essential skills. So formal and professional communication is expected in these careers, and it's expected in this class. Write formally. Speak formally. Practice what you're going to be expected to do in your career. Think back to what we talked about regarding professionalism. Regardless of your position, you have no choice but to do these things. And you're going to practice it with constructive comments about what other people have communicated in the class. It's one of the reasons I have you do that. In most law and justice careers, we have other people reviewing our work. Every single thing we do, somebody's going to pay attention to, read, watch, and know that we did it. Even more reason to do it well. Regarding AI, I provide an AI policy in the syllabus, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but know what it says, because you're going to tell me that you understand what it says. And if you do something that violates that policy, you may end up with an F for the course. Use it as it's intended, a tool, but it doesn't replace you. And you better damn well hope it doesn't, because we're all in trouble then. You don't have a job. I don't have a job. So we're going to practice these expectations in class. You'll be expected to communicate professionally. No emoji or slang, no informal text type talk, no lowercase letters when we expect caps. Don't try to complete the course on your phone or a tablet. Use a computer. It's the expectation, and the experience has shown that students who work in class to meet the expectations in the areas of communication, verbal and written, find job satisfaction. in these career fields. So to that end, practice it now, just like the other things we've discussed. Last thing I'm going to talk about is effort. And we're going to end with a very frank and very clear discussion of the things that are most important for you. And that's effort. It's become commonplace for a few students to expect to get extra credit, as I mentioned before, when work is turned in late, or sometimes when it's not turned in at all. I get that question every so often. Yeah, I didn't do the work the last 2 weeks. Is there any extra credit I can do to boost my grade? You've heard what I said about extra credit. That's not the way the world works. You get extra, typically an extra pay, to do extra work when you do a good job. You don't get any extra opportunities when you don't do the job. You get fired, or you go find a different career. And that's not any less true. In fact, it's more true in these career fields. So do the work to the best of your ability every time. Give it your best effort for 8 weeks of this course. It's an 8-week course. Give it your best effort. Your grade is going to be whatever your grade is. And if you give it your best effort, my bet is your grade's going to be an A. But nobody has ever asked me in over 3 decades of doing this full time what a person's grade was. What they ask me is, can they do the job? Do they have the professionalism, the communication skills? They do their best every time on time. What kind of character do they have? So give it the effort that you deserve, not that you think I or the course deserves. Give the effort that you deserve. Bottom line, do these things and you'll earn the knowledge and skills you need. And you'll do well in the class, and better yet, you'll do well in your career. So let's talk a little bit about specific course expectations. My email, phone, and office location are on the course syllabus. My office hours are held online, meaning I'm available by email, phone, virtually, on the stated days and times, and that's also available on the ICC Law site. I may occasionally be in the office, I may not be in the office, I may be at a coffee shop or in my home office. But my current students and my graduates will tell you that I'm more than reasonably available during normal business hours, and I respond to emails, phone calls, and voicemails. I'm going to say as promptly and completely as anybody else at the college. Let me talk a little bit about course expectations, grading, AI, and some other policies. As part of your week 1 assignment, you're going to be asked to confirm that you've read and understand the course expectations and policies. This acknowledgement will take place on Canvas. It's not an option. It's not negotiable. There aren't exceptions. It's a requirement for your admission to and continuance in this course. If you don't complete the course orientation the first week and you don't acknowledge these expectations, you may be dropped from the course. So read the information once, twice, thrice, and then keep it for your reference. The course is internet-based. You're enrolled in a wholly online anytime course. It's a traditional course that does not require on-campus attendance. Assignments have regularly scheduled due dates. You're not required to log in at specific times each week, but you are required to meet those due dates and complete the assignments. You may be required to log in for a specific exam or assignment, but you'll be given notice if that's required. I may require that you meet with me online for a conference if I feel I need to talk to you about something. So log in regularly. An 8-week summer course, 8-week course of any type, I would suggest you log in every day, Monday through Friday. Maybe something for you to do in that course, it may not, but log in and check. All the materials in the course, the syllabus, discussion questions, course documents, assignments, quizzes, and exams are presented online in Canvas. You know what the time expectations are. So, schedule a reasonable amount of time for you to complete the assignments, the reading, the preparation, the listening to the podcast, to complete and post your assignment, to log back in and read and comment on the post of your fellow classmates and the posts that I make. There's distinct topics related to the law presented in the given course. Sometimes the topics are interrelated and overlap, as well as the skill sets and career expectations. The topics are, I think, interesting, relevant, and reflected in everyday life, and especially in these careers. And if you approach the course discussion forums, the assignments, as prepared as possible, you're going to enter your desired career field in a much better place. Keep in mind that the course completion of assignments and participation in discussions account for 100% of your grade. These points are earned according to the discussion rubric provided on the syllabus. Go and read that discussion rubric. Meet that expectation. If you give me your best effort in preparing for and completing what I have asked you to participate in through this course, I guarantee you're going to see it years from now, and you won't have any regrets. The syllabus defines the expectations. The orientation information defines the expectations. If you don't think you were given the points you deserve, you can't just ask me, why didn't I get the points? You need to tell me why you didn't think you got the points, why you think you deserve more points than what I gave you, because I'm going to put comments in your grade book. And if you read those comments, you'll have a good idea where I'm coming from. Now you've got to give me the facts, why you think that what I had awarded you in points needs to be adjusted. And I won't always agree with you, but I will always look at what you've given me as some sort of justification. And justification is not an excuse for why you didn't do things on time. It's not an excuse for why you didn't let me know that you had something that you needed an extension for. It's not an excuse that you just didn't do it. Finally, regarding AI, I taught one of the first online substantive law courses in the country. I was one of the first ICC faculty to teach online. I've typically learned and adopted and taught with every new technology over the last 40 years. And when it was clear that the technology was going to become part of or a relevant part of our law and justice career paths, and I could develop courses and lessons that incorporated technology in a manner that best served my students in their career pursuits, I did it. My full AI policy is provided in the syllabus and on Canvas. but it can be summarized as follows. You can use generative AI tools in this course if you do the following, or for the following activities: brainstorming and refining your ideas, fine-tuning your research questions, finding information on your topic, drafting an outline to organize your thoughts, and checking grammar and style on whatever it is you plan to post. It is not permitted in this course to impersonate you in classroom contexts, such as by using the tool to compose discussion board prompts assigned to you, or content that you put into Canvas as an assignment post, response, or reply when it, as if it is from you when it was not. Writing a draft of an assignment, writing entire sentences, paragraphs, assignment posts, assignment documents, or papers to complete class assignments. And if we have exams or quizzes, unless I specify, it's absolutely prohibited to be used. And if I have that situation, I'll make sure that I have a tool used that will detect if you had. So don't use it in that context. Not in any class, okay? You're not probably going to run into that with my classes, but don't use it in any class on a quiz or exam. For all the work that a student submits for any form of academic credit, generative AI may not be used in a way that would constitute academic plagiarism if the generative AI were a human author or whose work was used without attribution. You're responsible for the information you submit on an AI query, for instance, that it does not violate intellectual property laws or contain misinformation or unethical content. There have been many people in law and justice, in particular lawyers, fired, disbarred, legal assistants fired, people in trouble with the courts because they presented authority that wasn't really authority, but AI told them it was. By authority, I mean cases, case law, statutes. Your use of AI tools must be properly documented and cited to comply with whatever the policy is of the college at the time regarding academic honesty. And any use outside of this definition or permission will be considered academic dishonesty and result in an F for this course. So there's where I stand on AI at this moment. Use it, but use it wisely. Don't use it improperly. Well, there you have it. That's your orientation for this 8-week course. Remember, you have a week 1 assignment in addition to this orientation assignment, so make the time and get that done by the deadline stated. And if you need me, you know where to find me.